Yeah,
Okay.
well, it was during the war that I came to Atherstone, evacuated. But prior to that, in the 30s, I lost my dad when I was a boy, which made it a bit awkward because it was just me and my mother, and in those days people didn't get help like they get today, so we had a bit of a hard time, but we lived in quite a nice house and we had all, you know, what you'd expect today. But everything, how it came about, we slept in an Anderson shelter for 6 months. I suppose you know about Anderson shelters, yeah. And
Thank you.
in our back garden, actually, these were erected at the early stage in the war. Each household had their own Anderson shelter, and there's little camp beds in there, and we did that. And then in the winter it got flooded, and Mother said, "Oh, we can't go in there." She said, "If we're going to get killed, let's get killed in comfort." So we went back into the house. And of course, we did have some near misses down there. Nearest bomb was about 3 or 4 doors away from where we were, and the unfortunate bit was we knew the people, and well, I knew the kids, you know, and I think one of them was killed and all that, and a bit of trauma. And Mum, it got on Mum's nerves. She said, "Well, we've got to try and get out of here." And there was another family that we knew, and this gentleman had lost his wife, and he'd got 3 children. I think it was 3 or 4. And he said, "Well, I think there's a place up in the Midlands where they're suggesting we can all go." So, cut this story short, we all came to Atherstone. I remember it on the train. Atherstone station was vastly different then. This was in 1941, I should imagine.
So how old were you?
Wait a minute, no, it might have been slightly before that, but we all started, yeah, about that. And of course the problem was then housing us. But we started off with a property in Bachelor's Bench. Yeah. But we couldn't stay there long, and we all sort of split up. And Mum and I got this house in Allen's Row. Now, Allen's Row was a long yard that extended from Long Street to South Street.
Right.
And it was a narrow yard, but I should imagine from my memory about 12 houses down there. And the front, the Main Street side of it was roughly opposite Denham and Hargrave's hat factory.
Right.
So that puts you in the picture for location. You probably know all this anyway. And the thing, when we moved in, it was a bit strange to us. For a start, there was no electricity on. There was one old-fashioned sink in this single downstairs room with a tap, but that was it. And out of the 12 houses, we had to share 4 outside toilets, which we were fairly lucky in the sense we were about halfway down the yard, so we was only 20 yards from the toilets at the most, and or less. But some of the people at extreme ends had to walk up to, yeah, and you can imagine that it was a bit awkward. And then the house, which was originally, I think, was 2 houses. The kitchen of the one house was turned into a wash house, communal wash house, and everybody shared that as well. There was dolly tubs piled up in there, and dollies. That was all strange to me as a kid, and I was, you know, I'd never seen a dolly before, and I didn't know what they did with them, but I soon found out because it was that close to us. It was sort of half of our house. We had a living room, and then that was it downstairs, quite small really, about the size of this room.
Really?
And there was 4 bedrooms. There was 2 bedrooms above our part, and then the 2 bedrooms above the wash house. So we had rooms upstairs. There was no electricity. There was one gas lamp, which was a mantle lamp in that room, and an old-fashioned cooker, which is obviously a 30s style cooker. And
is it a range or something?
Seen better days,
yeah.
you know. It got an oven and 2 or 3 burners on the top, as I remember. And it worked, but the actual fireplace was the old-fashioned oven and sham.
What's a sham? Sorry,
yeah,
I don't know.
Oven and sham, there was loads of them in Atherstone. In fact, they were even sold after the war as replacements for houses, you know. And what it consisted of, an oven one side and a hob the other, with the fire sort of in the centre, and there was a sort of cast iron back with a swing out pivot that you hung your kettle on.
Oh, right.
Because it was, you know, all great fun to me as a kid. I'd never seen anything like that. And
can I ask you how old you were when you?
Sorry?
How old were you when you moved to Atherstone?
I'd be 11, 12.
Right,
like
so you
that.
remember a lot.
I was born in 1929, so you can work it from there. Yeah, and of course the people in the yard, they were quite friendly to us, even though we, you know, were cockneys, as you might say, because where we lived in Essex, we were only about 10 miles from London.
Right.
Yeah. And yeah, it was quite an experience, really. A mother couldn't, you know, she was moaning all the while, as you can imagine, you know, and then she'd end up the sentence by saying, well, we've got to be thankful we're here, I suppose, you know. And yeah, the thing was, though, there was different things we had to get used to. We had to have, if we moved in the evening upstairs, you've got to take a candle for lighting,
right,
or have, which Mum had, a duplex lamp, which was a sort of twin wick effort with a glass chimney on it. You've probably seen that. And
so there was no electric. There was nothing upstairs. There was no gas lighting upstairs.
Oh
then?
no, it was all
just one month.
So
in the
that
house.
was a bit awkward, and but we managed it. And after sleeping in an Anderson shelter for 6 months, anything was better. You know.
Did you have your own bedroom?
Oh yes, well there was a choice. We got 4 bedrooms, and Mum had her bedroom, and I. Yeah, but Mum picked the one. Unfortunately, she found out, which was over the wash house, and it wouldn't have been so bad. But some of the old ladies were a sort of pecking order, who used the wash house. Monday was the, you know, the sort of premier day when people like to wash, and they used to get up about 5 o'clock in the morning and come in and light the coppers, because there was 2 coppers in there that each had to be fired up, you know. They had to chop sticks and put on, and they must have brought the coal down from the house, because there was never any coal stacked in there, because you know, and they get it all going, get the water out, and then start dollying about 6 o'clock. Well, Mum never got up at 6, but she did. You know, she'd, oh God, and she'd thump. Well, these dollies, wooden dollies, you know. I don't know whether you've seen them in action, but they make quite a noise, you know, when they're banging the clothes up and down in a wooden tub, which was like half beer barrels, really. Like they use for rainwater, only shallower, of course. Yeah, and that was all a bit of fun to me, because in there was all tin or galvanised baths that they used on by the window. Was like a big thrall where they stood them at a sort of height you could reach, like a table versus, but it was all brickwork. With a tile top, if I remember, and they used to finish off the clothes by putting them through they'd got to rinse them by hand, you know, and they also put in blue water, you know, to help to make the whites look white.
Yes.
And sometimes some clothes were always boiled. Yeah, they'd what they couldn't get clean in the deli tub, they boiled it, and they were bubbling away in there. And then when they'd done that, you can imagine it taking time. Even though they started about 6, it was midday before they finished, because they got to hang them out, and the only lines existed. The yard was long and narrow, with houses only on one side. There was a sort of metal fence that came down about level with our house, and from then on towards South Street there was a brick wall which was about 3 foot high, and the line posts were attached to that brick wall, and that's where the lines were, and they were communal as well, you know. So they used to peg their stuff out, and though they were getting on, these ladies, they used to climb up on this wall pegging away and that. And of course the weather was a big concern, you know. I mean, there was no spin dryers or any other means of drying them. So, but being a boy and that, I didn't take too much notice of how they did all that, really, how they got the things dry. But Mum, she didn't use the wash house apart from the hot water side of it. She'd light a cuppa up when it was her day, which was towards the end of the week, because we were down the list. Anyway, she had, like everybody did, a big oval bath. She used a version of a dolly, but it was like a copper-headed thing with a short handle on it, and she used that. And then she graduated to an old washing machine that somebody gave her, but don't be fooled by the word washing machine, because it was hardly that. It was like a galvanised tank on a frame, detachable legs, and it had a wooden lid with a handle and a paddle inside, and you put the clothes in, and then you had to stand and work the paddle backwards and forwards. I only got landed for that. Mum said, you want a job? And I used to think, I don't really, but come and help me with this and that.
Was that kept in the wash house, or in your?
Did that in the wash house. Yeah, we kept that.
Did the other people use it?
Yeah.
Or?
So we did use it partly, and then the thing was, they had big wooden rollered ringers in there with they, I think, belonged to certain people, where you mangled away the clothes. Mum had a smaller one which she used to clamp it on something and put the clothes through that for drying. But she used to use a wooden clothes area around the fire most of the time to dry the clothes, especially if the weather was bad.